Good afternoon. Today is Wednesday, June 25th, and I decided to recover a topic. I incidentally released a video yesterday on TikTok that I did not mean to be public. But I'm going to stand behind what I said 100%. So I just had a couple comments, and not you, Kevin. It's a couple other people too. But I'm going to explain what I said here. And what I said in that video was essentially that I recommend, if you can avoid it, try to not spray soybeans in the heat of the day like it is right now. It is super hot today. It's the kind of day that reminds me of you, Dave Rosa, if you end up watching this video. Does not bother me at all. I hate winter as well, so days like today are just fine with me. But it's super hot, and coming out here in a field of soybeans right now, if you have heavy oil or heavy adjuvants, depending on what you have in your tank, you can absolutely burn the crap out of soybeans right now. So what I said was, if you can avoid spraying in the middle of the day, try to do it in the morning, in the early morning or the early evening. Now, if you are at the mercy of somebody like retail spraying your fields, you're going to have soybeans sprayed in the middle of the day. There's no way to avoid that. But they will be okay. It's not that it's going to be a huge yield hit or a yield loss or anything like that. It'll be all right. I just don't like soybeans being burnt. It takes them, a few days to recover from that. It delays canopy, and I just don't like it. So I've had this conversation many times over the past few years. And another thing that always comes up in this topic is Mr. Kohler from down in Missouri. Kip Kohler used to, well, he probably still farms. I don't know. I have not heard much about him lately. I assume he's still raising high yield soybeans. But back in, I think it was around 2006, 7, 8, 9, he had a string during that time period where he was setting world records for soybean yields. I think 2007 is when he hit 160, if I'm not mistaken. But everybody in this conversation wants to bring up Kip Kohler, and they will say something along the lines of that Kip Kohler used to intentionally burn his soybeans to help them yield better. Well, that is not entirely true. Kip Kohler actually used to spray his soybeans at V3 or so with Cobra because he had such a dense canopy that even down in, I think, southern Missouri is where he is, he was getting white mold in his soybeans. And spraying Cobra at that stage is a known tactic to try to avoid white mold. Now, somebody from up north is going to have to help me with this because I'm not a white mold expert. I don't deal with white mold very much. Although canola being a new crop in southern Illinois, it is going to be something that I probably see in the next few years, I would imagine, at some point. But generally in soybeans, we do not have white mold issues. Too hot here. So I assume what he was doing there was spraying at V3 to burn them back. And I think the tactic there is to try to delay flowering a little bit, because sclerotinia will attack senescing flower petals. And I think the later you can flower, the hotter it's going to be and the less likely you're going to experience white mold. So, but, I don't exactly know. I know that it can induce branching if you, ding some soybeans up at that stage too. But look, you can get all the branches you want. If you're planting the kind of populations that Kip was planting, which is, somewhere around 200,000 for a population is what he was dropping. You can get all the branches you want. You're probably not going to keep very many of them. So, getting branches is one thing, keeping them is a totally different thing. The other thing is that Kip Kohler was using multiple tons of chicken litter. He was using pivot irrigation. He was using a few passes over his beans with, well, 3 to 4 times he was spraying fungicide, from what I recall. He was also using some micronutrients and some foliar feed. I think he was pretty early on in the game of using amino acids and stuff like that. So it is not like Kip Kohler was just going out there in a regular field of soybeans and burning them at V3 and getting 160 bushel beans. It was way more complicated than that. But generally speaking, burning soybeans is not going to increase your soybean yields. Now, will it hurt soybean yields? It's tough to say. In my opinion, it all depends on how stressed the crop is when you spray it. So right now, even though we've been hot and dry for several days now, I know we still have good subsoil moisture. My tile in my house is still running into my sump right now, so there's got to be still a decent amount of moisture in the ground. I do think the plants will be able to recover from it fairly quickly compared to the last couple of years. We've been so bone dry in June. We've been post-spraying that they've been really struggling to recover. But this year, I think that they would actually recover okay. But you and I both know that at this point in the game, all we're really doing is trying to set the potential. The potential is not really realized until, you know, August or late July, if we can catch some rain during that pod fill period. So we don't want soybeans to have a bad day. Burning them in the heat of the day definitely causes more crop response than if you would in the early morning or in the late evening. So I stand by that. It's not my opinion, it's a fact. So that's what I said, and I'm clarifying it here. If you have to spray during the day because that's what your time allows, it's okay. Your soybeans will recover from it. It'll be all right. I just don't really like it because it delays us getting to canopy so much faster or so much more. The quicker we can get to canopy and fill these rows in, the quicker that we can start collecting as much sunlight as possible. So that's all I've got for that. We'll see ya.